10 children. We have 3 original children who are all obviously grown now and doing their own different things. But then along the line, we became foster parents, and never with the intention of adopting, just being foster parents. It was really my wife's leading that got us down that path, and I supported her in that, and then because she always supported me in law enforcement, which is a difficult job for a while. But we started foster parenting, and then sometimes the kids in the system would stay with you so very long, and so like the first ones, they weren't free for adoption until they'd been with us like 7 years, and so it was not something we could easily say no to and say, okay, kick them out and let somebody else adopt them, because their home was with us for so long, and simply because the system was so entangled and slow. That's how we ended up adopting 7 children. It's really hard to talk about. My wife and I have been married 50 years. I actually got married 6 months after I joined the sheriff's office. It has a significant impact. Early on in my career, I was working second shifts and third shifts partially, but second shifts primarily, and I was on call. And as I mentioned earlier, I think I've been on call since I was a canine handler in 1974. So you're basically on call 24/7. That does create hardship. And the fact that you're out at night and not at home really does create, you're missing a lot of stuff with the family. And whether you're missing an event or whether you're just not there when you come at night. I think you try to do your very best to do your job, yet be there for them. But it's hard, and it's hard on the spouse, whether it's a husband or a wife, to make up that difference. And I believe that's a challenge. And you try to make up for it. You try to do the best you can when you're there, but it is a hardship, and that the family goes through. And in law enforcement, as in many other places that have that kind of stress, it does damage to the marriage. And me personally, have been fortunate to be able to survive all that and still be strong as a family unit. But not everybody is that fortunate. I was only, and there's been a wide range of them. And people say, what's your worst moment, or what's the worst thing you've seen? I don't think you can actually answer that, because when things are going bad, or when you're having those difficult or heartbreaking cases, at that moment in time, that's probably the worst thing that's going on, because they all bring heartache. Some of them bring tears and stuff like that. But I remember I was only in office 3 months as sheriff in June of 1985, when Melissa Ackerman was kidnapped and murdered down in Salmonac, Illinois. And I was a brand new sheriff. I was 3 months on the job, and I remember getting the call and heading out that the girl had gone missing, and they had a suspect vehicle, and everybody was looking, and all the way down there, I thought, hope this is not real. Hope this is one of those things. But it turned out to be real, and I've learned ever since then that on all those calls, you respond. You don't get that. You get that feeling that you hope it's not real, and just realize it is real. And if it changes, that's great. But you got to take all those calls serious, and we took it serious. But in your heart, you're saying, oh, hopefully it'll go away. But the double homicide was really as bad as that, and other cases along the way. But you just got to get through each one at a time. So there's a lot of, and sometimes people don't, I guess, realize it, because you can't unless you're there. Realize that law enforcement officers deal with this, and they are people. So even though we have to be professional and not appear that it affects us, it does affect us. And you carry that through the career. You hope you learn from it, and you hope you keep doing better every time. Last night I was driving home from work, and the car was flickering her lights behind me, so I pulled over. I thought, well, I wonder what's going on. You figure out whether they're going to complain or what. And it's dark, and you think, you get out and you go back to talk to them. And now that's not the safest practice, but he was an ordinary citizen asking for some help. And so I was able to help him a bit. But you never know, but the thought crossed my mind that could be the time. As we go each year, legislation, and this year specifically, legislation is coming down the pike that is going to make policing very difficult, which is bad for the community, because if it hampers the police to be able to protect them, then it becomes a problem. So I think a lot of changes are good, but some changes are not well thought about the repercussions. Mm-hmm. So it's not just making a change, but trying to be able to be wise enough to look down the path and see, what does this really do? And I think a lot of times that's left out of the picture. That we are deeply involved in accountability, and we just don't read about it because it's internal, and we have to do things internally, and we have the rules to follow. Many of the rules that the legislature set up themselves, and many of the rules that come out of negotiations. So I think that's where we're at. You see the policeman, he's out there in a patrol car or whatever he's doing, or working the jail, he's there doing his job. But you realize that it's 24/7, 365. And other than breaks, vacation, that's what they're doing. And that means when they're doing that at all hours, then they're not home. It is nothing more uplifting for me to be there with other sheriffs and be able to talk to them, listen to them. And we don't always agree, because we're all human, but we always have the same purpose. We're trying to serve our community and protect them.